In this lesson, we're going to be solving one-step equations. Example 1, how do I apply the properties of equality? So the first property we'll look at is the addition property. And what that states is that by adding a number to each side produces an equivalent equation. So for example, if we were going to be solving an equation like x minus 4 is equal to 10, to solve this, I would need to isolate the variable. And what I need to do then is what I do on one side, I must do on the other. And that addition property tells us that by adding the 4 to each side, we are going to remain an equivalent equation. So the subtraction property. The subtraction property of equality states that by subtracting a number to each side produces an equivalent equation. So for example, I could have x plus 8 is equal to 10. And so in order to solve this one, I need to isolate that variable by undoing that 8. And undoing that 8, I would subtract it. And as long as I subtract it from both sides, this property says that we will have an equivalent equation. All right, our multiplication property, then that one states that by multiplying a number to each side is going to produce an equivalent equation. So for example, I could have something like x all over 3 is equal to 5. All right, so to undo, the x is being divided by the 3, so to undo the division, I need to multiply then. And as long as I do that on both sides, I'm not changing that value. And then the last property that we'll talk about here is the division property, which means that by dividing a number on each side is going to produce an equivalent equation. So for example, I could have 4x is equal to 12. Well, to isolate that variable, again, I'm going to divide, and I have to do that on both sides. All right, so now let's apply those properties by solving these equations. All right, so I'm going to start by looking at, I have negative 7 is equal to 9 plus w. So I need to isolate that variable. So I need to undo this 9 by subtracting a 9 on both sides. And that's going to leave me with a w. And then I'm going to have negative 7 minus 9, or plus negative 9, is going to equal to negative 16. Our next one. I have m minus 15 is equal to negative 27. So what I'm doing here then is I need to isolate the variable by applying that addition property. So by adding the 15 on both sides, it's going to cancel out. And I'm going to have m is equal to then negative 9. Now, what we can be doing is we could be now putting these numbers back in and checking our work. So what I'm saying is m is equal to negative 9. So if I plug that in for m, I have negative 9 minus 15. Is that equal to negative 24? So I could then negative 9 minus 15 is negative 24. We won't be checking all of these, but it's important for you to know how to do that. All right, so let's take a look at the next one. I have negative 5w is equal to 55. Again, I'm isolating the variable, and that negative 5 is multiplying the w. So in order to undo multiplication, I'm going to divide. And so I'll be dividing by negative 5 on both sides, and w is then going to give me then 55 divided by negative 5 is negative 11. For number 4, we have negative 8 is equal to w divided by negative 4. Remember, when a number is being, or a variable is being divided, that we undo that by multiplying. And so we're going to multiply both sides by a negative 4 so that we can isolate that variable. And then these cancel out. And I'm going to have w is equal to positive 32. All right, for number 5, we have negative 1/3 times m is equal to 8. All right, and so since the negative 1/3 is multiplying the variable, we're going to divide. And remember that dividing a fraction is the same thing as multiplying by its reciprocal. So right here, I think the better way to do this then would be to multiply